Happy October, Carol.
Happy October, Dee. It's the first of the month. Do you know what people say about October the 1st?
No,
They
tell
say it's
me.
a great day to start a new project. You got one quarter left in the year. They say it's better than January 1st.
Huh. Okay. I think we should start this episode.
Okay, it's your turn to start.
Oh, here we go. You were supposed to say, yes, let's do it.
Yes, let's do it.
Welcome to the Garden Angelus, where we talk about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I am Dee Nash from Guthrie, Oklahoma, and I still have a large garden out in the country.
And I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana. I have a suburban garden measured in square feet. It's about a third of an acre, which is apparently the perfect size garden.
Well, you think everything about your garden is perfect, and
No, not
Indiana's
hardly. Not hardly.
perfect, Anyway, we are garden angelists, and we want you to love gardening because we love it. We'd like you to love it too.
Yes, we do. And we aren't afraid to tell all of our gardening secrets, the good, the bad, and even the ugly. But let's move on to this week's episode, which I have a feeling is just going to be, let's just do it, Dee. Garden updates.
Okay, you go first. I'll be good. I'm trying to be good. I really am. Okay, go.
Yeah, okay. So I started my microgreen farm on Saturday. It's looking pretty good. I actually had this sprout thing that you put sprouts in.
I have a
Pause.
question. I have a
Yes.
question. Weren't you already doing the microgreen farm because you were giving the microgreen talk?
No, I last week I was getting ready to start the microgreen farm because I'm doing the microgreen talk, and then Saturday I started it. Actually did
Ah,
it.
I got you ahead of yourself. Okay, so you had this thing that you could start sprouts in,
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like
you thought you might
three.
do it.
Yes, I did it because for some reason, when I was ordering microgreens like last year, I got sprouting peas,
Uh-huh.
this big bag, and so I have this thing. It's like three layers, and there's like a little thing that drips the water from one layer to the next.
Yep.
So you put the peas in there and then you put water in the top and then it drips down to the next level. And when that gets full, it drips down to the next level, the next layer, and then goes into a little basin at the bottom. So I have sprouted way too many peas. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them. Probably end up ditching them, but I
Just
wanted to
eat
try
them.
it.
They're good for you.
Yes. And then I took
Did
down the
you
hanging back garden.
can I
Yes,
tell you
ma'am.
something about peas?
Sure.
So peas have this thing called DAO, DAO, and it stands for three big long words, which I would have looked up if I'd known we were going to talk about this. But it has DAO in it, and DAO helps you digest your food, and it also lowers histamine. Just FYI.
Just FYI, you should get a sprouter and grow you some bean sprouts or pea sprouts,
It
Dee.
has to be peas. I don't know. Probably not. Okay, keep going.
I took down the hanging baskets in front because they were just foliage. There was no flowers left. And I hung up the bird feeders. And I don't think I've seen any birds out there yet. I had to close the blind. But anyway, I did see a hummingbird the other day, which is unusual. They should be moving
Yeah,
on
they should be
south.
gone.
They should be gone. I
Yeah.
saw one, today's Wednesday. I saw one on Monday. Didn't see one today, so maybe they did. I mowed and trimmed yesterday. I've watered, and I wrote about another lost lady at garden writing, and that has been we
Oof.
recorded last time on Thursday, so that was 6 days. How about you, Dee?
You did a lot in 6 days.
Well, you put the
Um,
pressure on me, Dee. The pressure.
I did? How?
I don't know. I just got to burn my saddle to get some of that stuff taken care of. Plus, I got those talks coming up.
Instead of burr in your saddle, I thought you said I've got to burn my saddle. And I was like, what? Okay.
Brr. Anyway,
Burr in your saddle. Got it.
okay.
So in my garden, it's a big fluffy mess right now.
Good.
And the butterflies are crazy this year in Oklahoma. I've never seen so many butterflies. And it's not
Excellent.
just me, other people are talking about it too. We have never seen it. We think it's because of all the rain. Okay, so with that, we're getting a lot of heavy dew now because we're going into fall. Heavy dew and mildews, I'll try that again. Heavy dew and zinnias don't go well together. It causes a lot of powdery mildew, the kind of
Yes.
powdery mildew that doesn't even smell good. So I have been pulling those babies out right and left. And I also did deadhead a few of my roses, which you're not supposed to do. And we'll talk about that more in the question of the week. Then I planted up my front pots. I went on a little shopping spree at my greenhouse and potted up my front pots. And I did an Instagram video on that, which I realized I had on my tick clothing and I looked ridiculous, but that's okay. I don't care. I put out my fall wreath. It's officially fall, y'all. Got out my Talavera pottery.
Nice.
My pumpkin, yep. I gotta get a few pumpkins for the front. I wish I could just order a pumpkin package because I just really don't want to do it, but I'm gonna do it. And then I kept everything watered. I started putting plants back into the greenhouse just in case, although the morning lows look fine, but I'm just, preparing so I don't end up in a big rush. And
Exactly.
I did 2 videos for Instagram. I'll do another one tomorrow. And that's, I think, about it. I need to write my Substack newsletter. I wrote ours, but I didn't write mine yet, and I need to do that. I want to write about fall flowers.
You know what? You should write about fall flowers if that's what you want to write about.
I mean, people don't plan for fall much. You should start planning for fall and spring.
So let's talk about some favorites because this would be some hints of some things that you can plant for fall.
Yep. And mine is bluebird aster. But I love your favorite too. I have a beautiful picture of those. Tell them your favorite.
My favorite is my little toad lilies, and actually they did not like how dry it has been,
Mm-hmm.
and or maybe they didn't like that I didn't water them. So I have
Could be
fewer
that.
toad lily blooms than before, but they're always sweet and pretty, and you know, it's
They're
good.
always such a nice surprise.
Yes.
My rain lilies showed up too. Uh, don't ask me. There's just some weird stuff that just shows up. But I'm going to talk about bluebird aster just very quickly because I talk about it every year. Is Symbiotrichum leve, which means smooth aster. It's a selection that was found, and a hummingbird just landed on the one in, well, as much as hummingbirds land, it landed on the one in front of me, out my window, and sipped from it. It feeds everybody, from hummingbirds to butterflies to very small pollinators. It's a great plant.
Nice. It is nice. Okay. We'll have a picture of both of those in our newsletter.
So, in our deer thing from last week, our question of the week,
Yes.
I have a question for you. Do deer eat toad lilies?
I have no idea. I'm going to say they do. You're shaking your head up and down like the yes.
Yes, they do. Do deer eat bluebird aster?
The smooth one? They don't?
Not really, no.
That's good.
I think it's because it has silvery foliage, but
Yeah,
and it
that could be.
probably that could be it. Okay, so question of the week.
The question of the week is, um, when should you trim roses in Oklahoma?
Um, well, the actual question was, hey, can I cut back my roses now? When should I cut them back? And I said February. This was on Instagram. Then she wrote back and she said, February, that's a long time. And I said, yeah, because it's the end of the season and you really shouldn't cut back roses at all right now because it makes them put out new growth,
Right.
like a lot of plants. And so so we're getting ready to have a freeze, not yet, but it's coming up and that'll hurt the shrub. It won't help it, at least, if it has all that new growth on it. So I said, just wait. And then she said, well, but they are big and wild and look terrible. And so in that case, I mean, if they're going to blow in the wind really bad in winter and damage their canes, you can tidy them back if they're in a protected area. Now, this is just Dee saying this. Oklahoma State would say, no, absolutely not. Wait until they're completely dormant, period. I say, it all depends. How about you, Carol? How about Indiana?
Well, in Indiana, I would say the time to trim roses would be March, is what I tell
Yep.
people, because I get that question every spring. And it's from
February,
my,
March, yeah.
yeah, my sister, my youngest sister will always text, can I prune on some nice weekend in February? Can I prune my roses? Not yet. Plus, by waiting and you wait and you see what made it through the winter. I mean, some canes on your roses will die back.
Almost always, yeah, I would
And,
say so.
and what you said about, it forces new growth and then that new growth can get zapped by frost and then you're going to lose it anyway.
Yeah.
But I would say that's true of most shrubs. Don't prune now. Just leave them alone
No, just
unless,
wait.
like if you have dead parts, obviously you can take off dead things, but make sure it's not just dormant. And
Hmm.
then, or if it's blocking the walkway or creating some kind of tripping hazard, of course you could clean that up. But in general, leave the pruners out of your,
Yeah, it's not really time to prune anything.
no, no.
And
And
well, it's complicated in Oklahoma now with roses because we've had such mild winters for about 3 winters, and we have more mild than not mild. And so people can't tell now. It used to be February was absolutely the time to do it, but they never go dormant. And
oh,
so it's more like Texas now. And that makes it more complicated because lately we've been having pretty mild winters, and then in January we get 2 weeks of pure super duper cold, and then it'll just kill everything. So it's complicated, but just don't trim anything right now. That's my advice.
yeah, I'd say the same. Now, one thing you can prune, and we don't want to go too down in this rabbit hole, but after we have a frost, you can prune your oak trees.
Because they pull all their sap back into
Well, and if
themselves.
you prune them like now, there's insects that transmit that oak wilt disease, and they'll come and transmit that oak wilt disease, or the possibility of it. So that is a late fall prune.
Interesting. I just print them whenever, but yeah, that's probably the best advice right there. All right, so insect of the week. You brought up the insect of the week, and it's a good one.
Yeah,
I get this question all the time about the
yeah.
second one.
Box elder bugs and milkweed bugs, they are often mistaken because they're both like black and white, and they are um, harmless most of the time. But people see them, and this is one of those things where you do not need to spray these things at all. They are
No.
fine. They're not going to cause a lot of damage to anything. So leave them alone and let them be.
So here, I get the milkweed bug question all the time because people will see the nymphs on their
Uh-huh.
milkweed plant and they're bright orange and they freak out. And there's also this tendency because we want to help nature and because we want to help the monarch butterfly in particular, although we need to just help all butterflies, but the monarch holds a special place in our hearts. And so people think that the milkweed bugs are going to take away from the monarchs. Nope, they're not. Milkweed bugs and milkweed go together like scones and tea.
I
And box
guess.
elder
Okay.
blood, I don't know. Box elder bugs um, drive people crazy because they come into the house because, during certain times of the year, and they sun themselves on the side of your house
Right.
because they're cold and they want to get warm. Again, they will not hurt a thing.
No, they won't hurt a thing. And so I say, leave them be.
Yes, leave them alone. Do you want to do the quote?
I do want to do the quote. I remember it as October days are always remembered. Cloudless, maple flavored, the air gold and so clean it quivers. And that is Leaf Enger, Peace Like a River.
So I asked you when I came up with this quote, I asked you if you had read that book, and you said you had not, and I said you must read that book. So
Did
I'm
you,
putting it out there.
you have told me before that I must read this book, and then I have obstinately not read that book.
It is the most beautiful book. It's really beautiful. And there's not very much, in my opinion, lately that's been published recently that is that beautiful.
All right, I will add it to my to be read pile.
So if
I'll,
our listeners have another book recently published that is that beautiful, that is a beautiful book, beautifully written, good story, makes you think, that kind of thing, please let us know. We don't just read gardening books,
No,
although we do
no,
read a lot of gardening books.
not by
All right,
moonshine.
flowers. Oh, we're going to talk about a fun flower. I love these.
Snapdragons.
Yes. Snapdragons used to drive me nuts because we didn't have very good season for them. You put them out in early spring, they do their thing, and then they were gone. But they have done a lot of work on Snapdragons.
They have.
Are you going to say the botanical name? I am
A-
not.
Enterinus majus. Enterinum majus. How's
So there
that?
are little ones, there are short varieties, and there are tall varieties. And the tall
Correct.
varieties are grown by flower farmers or people who want to grow tall ones. And then the little short ones are like bedding plants. And mine have started surviving all the way through summer and into fall. And
Mine
they do really
do.
well now.
Mine do too. And the trick, I find the trick is to make sure you deadhead them and you can just snap the flower stems off. And then
Mm-hmm.
also make sure you keep them watered. And then, they might sulk a little bit when it's the hottest of the hot, but they'll bounce right back.
Mm-hmm. I put mine in partial shade because I live in Oklahoma,
Yeah, that
but
would help.
or I put it on the east side of the house. But I'm telling you guys, they have come a long way. And in fact, I am going to run up to the Guthrie Nursery and see if they have any so that I can add to the ones I already have because I have a gift certificate. Yay.
Well, here's the other thing I would say about the Snapdragons.
Yes.
In the right spot, you can get them to self sow
If you don't deadhead them
if you
and
don't
you let them
deadhead
go to
them.
seed.
And
Yeah.
I will tell you that out on my patio right now, I have a self sown Snapdragon that has come up between the cracks, and I've left it just to bloom.
Hmm.
It's very interesting to see it.
That is interesting. I find that the less I do to my garden, the more I let my garden be, the more self-sown stuff I have,
Oh,
both weeds
yes,
and non-weeds.
exactly. So the other thing I would say is if you are unsure what to buy, go over to the All America selections because they have those double shot orange bicolor. Remember,
They
we
are
grew
so
those.
pretty. Hmm.
And then the double shot yellow red heart. That was pretty. I grew that
We've
one
grown
from
that one
seed.
too. Hmm.
Um, there's another one called Twinny Peach. I do not think I've ever grown that one. It's from 2010. That's probably why
I
they
have
didn't send
not.
seeds.
Mm-mm.
And then um, they have one called Madam Butterfly, which is a double petal one. That's from 1970, D. Now,
Wow.
here's the thing. So Madam Butterfly, it's when I look at the picture, it's gorgeous. It almost feels like a looks like a hollyhock in a way.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
they have a lot of places where you can buy the seed. So I'm making a little mental note to get some of these Madam Butterflies for next year. I'll
I don't
actually make
blame
a
you.
written note when I review this podcast.
Okay.
And then the other thing is if you want the tall ones, there's a whole series, which is the Rocket series.
Uh-huh.
And these go back like this is 1960, some of these.
Huh.
1960. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm just clicking through on them like crazy. But they're from 1960. They're older than you, Dee.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So, and I'm just a tiny bit older than they are. So there
So,
are tons. Go to the garden center absolutely and buy them as bedding plants and make sure you know whether you're getting a tall one or a bedding plant size. And I think there's even something in between. But don't be afraid to start these from seeds. And even though the seeds are teeny tiny little things, they're not so bad to start. They're pretty
no,
easy.
they're pretty easy. I mean, I can't remember if they're one that wants sunlight or if they want to be slightly buried. I have to always look it up, but they're not hard to grow.
No, no,
Not
not
hard to
at all.
grow. So try some next year, people. I think you would really like them. They are fun.
And then the other thing is, I found this article called Tracking the Wild Snapdragon,
Hmm.
and they talk about how they go out into the where snapdragons are native,
Where is
and
that?
they are native um,
Sorry,
on
I
the border
messed you up.
between France and Spain lies a mountain range that spans from the Bay of Biscay to the Mediterranean Sea. The lush valleys and high peaks attract many tourists to the Pyrenees, and that is where they are native.
Interesting. And this is all about genetics.
Yes,
And
it's a little deep into
it's
the genetics,
it's
but when you
very deep.
it's very deep into the genetics, but it's very interesting to know that even today, when you think, well, all the snapdragons we have are all just hybrids and things that they have developed, that they still go out into the wild to look to see what's growing out there. And they kind of refresh the gene pool in a way so that they
Hmm.
can um, do a better job with hybridizing. I just thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. Very.
So that's what we have on snapdragons today. Do you always never think about, oh, one other thing I wanted to say is snapdragons are considered perennial in zones 7 through 10,
Which were seven.
and
So they're
I'm
perennial
6.
here. Sort of.
So, yes, yeah, it's the summer that'd get them.
It is the summer, but lately they've done just fine.
But
So
but here they generally are grown as an annual.
here too.
And
And it's
now every
usually a
once in a
short
while,
term.
there was a while several years ago, somebody I saw what somebody had labeled as a perennial snapdragon, and I tried it, but it was no more perennial than any other one,
Any of the others.
not
Yeah.
for 6. So,
Yeah.
anyway, now we can do a quote and talk about vegetables.
If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. That's by Tolkien. That had to have been said by like one of the hobbits, like Mary. It has to have been because it's true.
Yes, yes.
Megan and I, my daughter Megan and I were talking about that on the phone today in a different way, but sort of the same thing. All right, vegetables. And then you wrote, what is it with these people who grow giant vegetables, not just pumpkins, but all kinds of oversized veggies, from turnips to cabbage to gourds to tomatoes? And you were interested in that. And I think it's fascinating. They look bloated and weird to me, but
So let's talk about what it would take to grow a giant vegetable. They do not just
yeah,
spontaneously show up on your average pumpkin patch. The first
no,
thing you have to have is a lot of patience.
yes,
And then you need the right genetics. So you have to buy
certain
giant pumpkin.
seeds.
Yes. And some of these seeds, like if there's I think the world record pumpkin now is up to like 2,600 pounds. And maybe 20 years ago it was like 1,000 pounds. Those seeds from those winners are
They
pricey.
sell they sell for lots of money. It's like hoarding gold. So what was making me giggle is there's this guy who he's a paving contractor. He's retired. I'm not going to say who he is. But he just adores the fact that I grow things because he grows things too. But he's fascinated with giant pumpkins. And one day we were at a big dinner for, paving stuff for Bill. And he sat at that dinner and talked to me about the giant pumpkin seeds he had bought from a guy up in Minnesota. And I was like, yeah, but those aren't really, I mean, one of the problems with those kinds of seeds is they aren't really grown near us. So they might not do well, but I couldn't explain. I was trying to explain that to him, but he knew he was going to have 1,000-pound pumpkin.
Well, that's the other thing.
Ask me if it worked.
It didn't work.
No. So be careful before you buy those very expensive seeds.
Yes, you want them
Okay.
to be, yeah, like
And be prepared. You've got to be prepared because here's the next part.
they need to be
Monitoring.
monitored. Oh, yes. And you look at these pictures like on Instagram, and we're going to link to an Instagram account.
That one girl, she's adorable. Her and her giant vegetables.
Well, you look at these and, first of all, you have to monitor, and when you've got a bloom that you know is pollinated, because if it's not pollinated, you know, it might
Not
just
gonna do
start to
you any
grow
good.
pumpkin and then it's done. It won't continue to grow.
Mhm.
But they set up little tents over these things. They
They have to
they
brace them. You
they
have to have
brace them.
something underneath them because they get so heavy that they will rot from being on the ground. So you have to have something under them. You, at a certain point, you have to put stuff around them so that when you lift them with a crane, I mean, it's crazy town.
Well, and then you have to go out every day, twice a day, and make sure that there's not the least little bit of rot that's entered at the stem end
Stem
or the
or
other
at the
end.
blossom end.
Oh, because when they take these things to be judged, because nobody grows this just so they can sit out in their backyard and say, "That's an awfully big pumpkin
That
I
is a
grew."
cool pumpkin I grew. Yeah,
No,
no.
they have to take them to be judged. It's the whole competition of it. But if
Which
it
I
has,
I think they're kind of adorable, but there's
yeah,
no way I would do it.
well, the thing is, if it has any kind of fungus or disease, it's eliminated.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
she had a crack in or something was going on the blossom end of one of her plants.
yeah,
I don't remember if it was a pumpkin or some other thing she was growing.
right. The other thing I would say, you have to have a passion for it.
Hmm.
But the other thing I would say is I tend to think of growing giant vegetables. They do it a lot in England, but I never think of them as growing the pumpkins, but they grow a
No,
lot of
pumpkin is a
others.
very American thing.
Yes.
They don't
And
have a long enough season in
right.
England, or they would do it because the reason, one of the reasons it's so popular in England is because they have so much day length. In the
Yes.
summer, their sun doesn't go down until 11 p.m.
Well, another
In
place that grow cool season giant vegetables is Alaska.
I can see that because again, day length
Yes.
in summer. Okay. But then you've got to also have money to get that plant from point A to the judging center.
Yeah, and they take these a
It's
pretty fur
expensive.
distance sometimes to
Yeah.
yeah. So I pulled up an article where they talked about the largest pumpkin ever is 2,600 pounds. There's giant watermelons, a watermelon weighing 350 pounds, and that's
That's
like
just
all water.
disgusting, but okay.
100-pound cabbage.
No.
Okay, how about the longest carrot ever grown was how long, D?
I have no idea. And
20 feet.
you'd have to build a great big huge box to grow it in.
Exactly. I don't know how you would grow a 20-foot thing. And then tomatoes are in on the deal,
Yeah.
and
No.
then zucchini. Somebody grew an 8-foot long zucchini,
Oh my gosh.
and then
No.
leeks, beetroots. I'm just going through this list.
Turnips. Somebody grows turnips. I've seen
Giant
them.
cauliflowers and broccolis, onions, peppers. There, if you can grow a vegetable, you can grow the biggest. Even
Yes, and
corn.
okay, that I don't know how they do that, but I mean a lot of fertilizer. Corn
Yeah.
likes fertilizer anyway, so
Well, here's a
it's a
corn stalk that
grass.
somebody grew that was 20 feet.
Okay, I can see a 20-foot corn stalk. Seriously. Some of those fields have very tall corn stalks, but
Even
anyway.
a even a pea. Peas.
So is the woman that we both follow, is her name Pumpkinista? Is that the one
Yes.
on Instagram?
Pumpkinista in
She's kind of
Maine.
adorable. A lot of times it's men who grow these giant vegetables,
Yes.
but she grows them and she doesn't just grow pumpkins. She grows giant everything and she's really funny.
Yes.
She's got a great sense of humor about it.
Because she knows it's not the normal thing to be growing giant vegetables.
No, and she's got a lot of followers. 19,000, that's pretty good.
Yes. But anyway, are you tempted to grow a giant vegetable, D?
How many times have I said no during this little segment? A lot.
I just want
No.
to know if we changed your mind. I'm not tempted to grow a giant of
I did good to
anything.
grow any vegetables at all with the deer in my neighborhood.
Now, at one time, I thought I'd grown the world's tallest dandelion,
I remember those posts from way
and
back.
but it was I was halfway there. Let's just say at 3 feet, I was halfway there.
That's a big dandelion, though.
It
Three
was
feet.
it was just like the flower stalk. It just came up through the spruce, and it just to get to the sun, it just had to keep growing
It
and
just
growing and
kept
growing.
growing and growing. Yeah,
But that's a
crazy.
shocking thing when you round the corner mowing and you're eye at eye level with a dandelion.
But somebody grew a 6 foot one, is what you're saying.
Up in Canada, there was one. I kind of think you don't purposely grow a giant
You don't think?
dandelion.
But
No.
you know what? When you have a 6 footer, you call the Guinness Book of World Records and you say, I have a 6 foot dandelion. How am I doing?
Yeah. It's kind of like those giant trees, like
Yep.
specimen trees. You are never going to grow that in your lifetime, but if you happen to own one, you're gonna.
Yeah. I called before it. Yeah. All right. Your turn to quote it.
Okay, this is from Falling in Love with October. Leaves descending to the ground, orange, magenta, green, and brown. The cool, crisp breezes in the air. Autumn season must be here. Charmaine J. Ford. I'm telling you, it's still hot here, Dee.
It's hot here too, but I
It's
keep hoping that
it's
it'll,
cool in
I
the
mean,
morning, but it's
yeah,
hot.
the mornings. Yeah. The mornings are really nice. Oh, there's a monarch outside. Sorry, distracted. I'm telling you, it's Butterflyville here. It's been the best butterfly season of my entire life. And I have no idea why. I don't think
Huh?
anybody does.
No.
If somebody in Oklahoma listens to us, knows why, please tell us. Carol, I don't have my book in here. And
Okay,
I
I've
have two
got it.
copies, so I
I know.
should.
It's
It's in the kitchen.
Essential Guide to Perennial Gardening from the American Horticultural Society. And this is a lovely reference book, Dee, that they have provided. It's from our friends at Quarto from Cool Springs Press. And
Yep.
we asked for review copies, and for whatever reason, they sent us two each. Um, but anyway, so guess who the Cool Springs editor was?
Jessica?
Jessica Walliser. So it's probably
Yeah,
pretty good. And
it's
then
really good. Yeah.
they have, it's not just like a list of all the different perennials that you can grow, and it's not even an exhaustive list of perennials, but I'd say half the book is a list of some very excellent perennials. And then the front part of the book, though, is all about growing them
Yeah.
and designing with them. And so and it's by American Horticultural Society. So there's not really an author per
Yeah, we
se.
talked about that when we,
And that's like, and there's photo credits, but I can't find writing credits. Um, so the chapters are chapter one is your piece of the planet, understanding the climate, soil, and conditions that make your garden unique. Yeah.
that's
Assess your garden before you plant.
a good
Um,
idea. Yeah.
your garden is an ecosystem, making space for living things, big and small, to thrive. Chapter three is finding your garden style, tools and tips for making a beautifully designed garden. Chapter four is populating your garden, how to shop and propagate beautiful plants.
Uh-huh.
Five is putting the plants in the ground, how to prepare and plant your garden. And six is keeping things going, maintaining and troubleshooting your garden. And so, really, this is like a step by step. And you could, if somebody has just discovered gardening or they have a brand new place, I would put this in their hands and say, before you plant your perennial border, read through this book because it kind of takes you step by step from
Hmm.
evaluating your situation all the way until you can start picking out plants. And then, they've got
It
tons.
also it also focuses a lot on natives.
Yes,
Natives and they're very specific. This is a very specific book because lots of really famous people wrote for it. And it specifically says perennials native to North America because that's always a question. Where is it native
yes.
to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool.
Yeah. Now it's not every plant is native. There are some that they
No,
have from other
no, no,
regions, but
no.
there's an emphasis on the native. And so of
Right.
course, then I like to go look up things like, oh, Viola cerarea, common violet, which they have listed,
Well, of course they do because it's a
not
great
as a
ground
weed,
cover.
but
It's a
as
great ground cover.
it is. There's our rain lilies that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Zephyranthes.
Hmm.
Um, they even have the plains zinnia. Do you have this one, Dee? Zinnia grandiflora.
I've grown it.
It is hardy to
Wild
zone
looking.
5
Yeah.
and it's native to Central North America. I have never really seen that, but I am now quite interested in Zinnia grandiflora. And so I
Yeah, I've
also
grown
say,
it.
even
I've
if
grown
you're
it once, a
an
long time ago.
old experienced gardener like you and I, you could also go through here and it's like, I I haven't grown that or haven't grown that in a while. I would like to grow that again. Just a
Hmm.
good inspirational book. So rather than me sit here and read the book for you, let's just tell you one more time. Essential Guide to Perennial Gardening from American Horticultural Society. If you're going to have some essential books on your bookshelf for your garden, this would be a good one to add.
Yeah, it would. It's a
So
really good book.
there you go. That's the book. Now the
Oh,
quote.
it's time for my quote. Sorry, I was looking something up. October had tremendous possibility. The summer's oppressive heat was a distant memory, and the golden leaves promised a world full of beautiful adventures. They made me believe in miracles. And that's by Sarah Guillory from the book Reclaimed.
Nice.
I just like the quote. All right, so dirt, and then
We have two pieces of dirt. So last week we teased that I had written this blog post and you said, we'll talk about that on the podcast. But I
mhm.
wrote this post and the title is way too long. What you do when the first frost of fall arrives tells us a lot about how you garden.
And so I assume it's about whether you clean up or don't clean up.
Do
And
you panic?
no, not
Do you
anymore.
do you party?
Yes, because I'm tired by the end. Yeah.
Do you
Um,
plan? Plan for the first frost?
not, no. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I take all my stuff indoors.
Do you pretend like the frost didn't happen and just keep going?
No,
Do you pause and ponder? One.
sometimes.
Okay. I think you're a kind of a pause and ponder. I don't, to me, the party person is the person who's like, okay, it's done. They go inside and they don't even think about it again until spring.
Oh, no, I have to think about it because I have to do some stuff
You do
before.
pause and ponder and you plan a
Mhm.
little bit. So you're like,
Because we got to plant bulbs for
yes,
one thing. So that's
yes.
one thing you have to figure out what you're doing and where to go from there. And then you have a second one called Gardening is Good for You from Martha Stewart. Explain that one to me.
So there's this article and it came out in July. It says what 30 minutes of gardening does to your body according to exercise scientists.
Huh.
So it can improve your heart health, boost bone strength, and help prevent serious diseases. Spending time in green spaces for at
Uh-huh.
least 20 minutes helps reduce stress and improve your mood. Gardening can
Yeah, they
also
call it,
stay
you know what the kids call that? They call it touching grass.
nice.
Yeah. I've had
Can
3 young people say that to me lately.
gardening can also help stave off loneliness as well as promote healthier eating habits by providing access to fresh vegetables and herbs right from your own backyard. And so I just thought that was fun. And if anybody says you're spending too much time in the garden, it's like, no, I am just improving my health.
Yeah, you're touching grass. The other part of that is we know that from the blue zones because almost all of the blue zone people are those areas, they all garden. So we knew gardening was good for us.
Yes. And I don't know where I saw it, probably on Instagram. But
I think
Martha
how
Martha
old is
Stewart talked
Martha
about
now?
she's in like 84.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Martha when she's gone.
Well, she had something about her morning routine.
Oh yeah?
She
What
gets
was
up
that?
between 4 and 4:30. I'm just kind of up the top of my head. She reads the entire New York Times cover to cover, the paper version of it. She does all
Right.
the puzzles in it, crossword puzzles and everything.
I bet she does.
Then she
Yep.
goes to like her Pilates or her yoga or whatever. And I don't know. It was just like this whole routine that like Martha lives an entire What what is almost an entire day for most people. She's done it in 2 hours and on to the next thing. So
I mean, I think she's just very motivated. I think she always has been, and that's why, she's so good at what she does.
she is. All right, I'm going to do a quote and we will go to the rabbit holes. Ah, lovely October, as you usher in the season that awakens my soul, your awesome beauty compels my spirit to soar like a leaf caught in an autumn breeze, and my heart to sing like a heavenly choir. Peggy Tony Horton.
And we've used a few of Peggy's lately.
We
She's
have.
been
I don't
good.
know where we
Okay,
got them, but
so
or where you
here's
got them.
I got them off of Goodreads, actually. Um, so my allergist, Dr. Tarpey, is 83. Okay. She has an absolute passion for golden kiwis, which are different than regular kiwis,
Right. They're
right?
delicious.
And every time I go in, yeah, they're really, really good. No wonder she likes them. And they're not cheap. I think most of them are by Zespri. And so they do most of the, what's the word for it, distribution of them.
Uh-huh.
And they're pricey. You get four for a lot of money. They're heavy in vitamin C, they're heavy in fiber, they're just really good for you and they taste delicious. And you can eat them right out of the little fruit
Right.
with a spoon
Just
because
take the
they're easy
top
to
off
eat
and spook,
and scoop them
scoop.
out.
Yes.
So every time I go, she says, you, I want to talk to you. Because she cracks me up. And she's from is it Hungary? I don't know. She's from far away. And so I laugh every time I come in because I know we're going to talk about golden kiwis, and we do. And she asked me, can we grow them here? She goes, I want a greenhouse and I want it just filled with golden kiwis.
Good luck.
And the short answer is no, which is what I tell her every time I go visit her. But I decided to go down the rabbit hole of golden kiwi just because I'll be armed with more information.
Exactly.
So they're grown in New Zealand, Italy, California, France, Greece, and Chile. And there are even commercial crops in China, Japan, and South Korea. None of those places are like Oklahoma in any
No,
way
not a bit, not a
whatsoever.
bit.
And some of them, like New Zealand, would be winter when it's summer here. So that explains why they grow a lot of kiwis. And kiwis, people from New Zealand are even called kiwis. Anyway, here's what they require: plenty of sunshine, lots of rain, extremely fertile soil. The growing season for kiwi is long. It needs up to 240 days a year. And because of the way the weather is in New Zealand, where they grow a ton of these things, it is available from May to October. So there you go. Dr. Tarpey, you cannot grow kiwis in Oklahoma
There
with
you
a
go.
greenhouse, with a grow light. There's just no way. I said, they're a big tree. I mean, there's no.
No,
All
no,
right,
you
what was
cannot.
yours?
So I did do it's the every other week Lost Lady of Garden Writing. So I finished up my research on a woman named Catherine Osgood Foster. Turns
Mm-hmm.
out she was a beloved literature professor at Bennington College in Vermont.
Uh-huh.
But on the side, she and her husband had chickens and organic vegetable gardening, and so she wrote a whole book on it's called The Organic Gardener. And I ended up with a copy of it. I don't know where I got this thing. I think somebody gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lady that I used to take to garden club that was older and she had to move to a nursing home. I think her daughter dropped off a box of her books on my porch one day and this was in there. So,
Well, that's a lucky thing.
yeah. It's from 1972 and I think, well, at first I thought that's not that old, but then I'm thinking, that is a pretty old book. 50 years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
do you know
Someday you're
what?
going to have to figure out what you're going to do with your giant library of women garden writers.
I have no idea.
You're
That's
going to
a
have to donate it to someplace special.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's what I did some research on. How about we do those garden commissions now, Dee?
I'm just going to keep putting things in the greenhouse little bit by little bit. And then I'm gonna get rid of the rest of the zinnias. They are looking bad and they're gross. Weed, water, repeat. That's it.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to continue to keep my eye on those microgreens and figure out what to do with all my sprouts. Basically, tend to the garden, which is weed, water, mow, and then I have to finish those 2 talks.
Yeah, you do. I don't have any talks coming up till next year. I'm speaking to the International Historical Rose Society next year. I forgot I
Nice.
said yes. And then somebody texted me and said, I can't wait to see you next year. And I was like, oh, I guess I am doing that. It's down in Texas. Let's do We Do Not Care.
We do not care if you do or do not buy mums for your front porch.
Yeah. We
But we do
we
care that
don't.
you listen to our podcast, and we want to thank you for listening to the Garden Angeles. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We publish every week on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. Eastern Time.
But if you subscribe to our Substack newsletter, you get a link to listen to the podcast a whole day early, and you get links to the products we discuss. Plus, go over to YouTube and see us in person. You can see me wearing my Mount St. Mary's hat. Full episodes show up on Tuesdays. So if you can't wait until Wednesday, and some of you can't, now I've really got to get better at this. You now have 2 ways to get episodes on Tuesdays.
And if you want to help support us, use our affiliate links. If you buy something after clicking through on them, we earn a small commission and it costs you nothing.
And boy, those come through. Or you can set up a monthly subscription through Buzzsprout, or you can make a one-time donation through PayPal. You also have the option of pledging your support on Substack. We appreciate all of it.
Thank you for everyone who's done so. It helps us pay for podcast hosting.
It was lovely to chat with all of you over the garden gate. Bye until next week.
Bye, everybody.